Warframe is over 10 years old. That is like a century in game years. I honestly cannot imagine starting this game from the beginning. But if you are just starting out, I have some questionably useful tips I want to share with you. There are more than 50 unique Warframes. Every Warframe has different strengths, weaknesses and abilities. But in reality, if you invest a lot of time and resources into them, all of them can perform pretty good. If you want an answer to the age-old question of which Warframe should you play, I will always tell you to pick one that you enjoy playing. In the beginning, it is more important for you to learn the game mechanics and actually decide whether you like this game, rather than being an invincible maniac who rips through somewhat sympathetic hordes of enemies. In order to become that completely sane person, you will need mods and resources. The damage and power of Warframes and weapons come primarily from mods. Which leads me to the worst moment you will ever experience in Warframe. Seeing this screen for the first time. If you survive your first time looking at this screen, congratulations, you chose a life of pain and misery. There are more than 1000 different mods. That is a lot of different combinations. However, in your everyday playthrough, you will be using less than 50 mods and the rest of them you will maybe use once for a specific build. This isn't exactly a guide on how to mod, but when it comes to modding Warframes as a beginner, go with at least one survival mod. If Warframe is your first ever shooter game, go with 2. What I used to do when I started playing is to pick 1 or 2 abilities I really liked on a Warframe and then I added stat mods that benefited those abilities. If I wanted my abilities to deal more damage, I went with strength. If I wanted my abilities to last longer, I would go with duration. Explaining everything about modding would take too long, but it is not that complicated. In most cases, you will find a video on YouTube and you will just copy-paste mods. When modding weapons, any mods that say damage and mods that give any sort of elemental damage are a good choice. In addition to damage mods, any mods that give critical chance, critical damage, multi-shot and fire rate are must-have for beginner setups. Over here you also have the option to auto-install mods if you really have no idea what you are doing. When it comes to beginner modding, I think it is more important to use higher rank mods than the actual setup. You can rank up mods by spending your credits and a resource called Endo. Do not go full ham and dump all your Endo in one mod. The credit cost is not that important, but Endo is. Try to avoid this number going over 10,000 unless your parents are rich. Let's face it, they are not. If you had a substantial amount of money, you wouldn't be playing a free-to-play game like Warframe. Everything in this game is completely free and it can be obtained either by losing your sanity playing the same mission over and over again or by buying stuff from the in-game shop with Warframe's premium currency. Since you don't have any money to buy platinum, you need to get this from other more fortunate people. Unlike in the real world, you can't just pull out your rocket launcher and demand it. You need to perform an ancient method called trading with other people. Most items in this game are pretty worthless, but if you invest some time into learning what is trash and what is somewhat expensive, you can make a lot of platinum just by performing war crimes on a daily basis. Warframe is filled with dangerous places, but the most dangerous place in this game is trade chat. If you think this is the place you go when you want to buy and sell items, we cannot be friends. I may be too harsh on trade chat, but a lot of people in here are just looking to scam you. If you want to know real prices for your items, you can visit the website Warframe Market. If you are afraid to use this website, at least you can see the prices of items, and you can make sure no one will rip you off. Spending platinum in Warframe is easy. You go to the in-game shop and just click Staf. I'm not your financial advisor, so I cannot tell you what to buy, but I can give you some suggestions. As a starting player, one thing you will always need are inventory slots. In all honesty, you can get these slots just by playing the game, but in reality, you will need to buy a lot more. As a side quest here, never ever buy plain resources or their blueprints. Buying bundles of resources might look like a good idea until you realize that you can join a random squad, do absolutely nothing and still get a hefty paycheck. There are two types of people in a team, people who work hard and me. This here is the foundry. In here you can build weapons, warframes, items and some other stuff. Building items takes time and warframes take the most. Almost every warframe takes 3 days to build, so keep this in mind. Also, since I already mentioned one stupid way to spend platinum, here is another one. Don't rush building items unless you have a lot of platinum. You have your entire life to play this game. What is waiting a couple of days? Mastery rank is essentially your account level. This doesn't really impact the performance or strength of your warframes or weapons, but at least you can flex. However, you need to get this number up as fast as possible because a lot of content is locked behind mastery rank. You raise your mastery rank by using and leveling each unique warframe, weapon, companion and piece of equipment. Generally, if you can customize and mod an item, it gives you affinity. This is just a fancy word for experience. As you gain experience with items, you will also gain experience for your mastery rank. When it comes to ranking up stuff and raising your mastery rank, this is the most important thing to know, so listen carefully because I will really suck at explaining this. You can only get affinity points for your mastery rank once from a single unique item. What this means is that, for example, once you level up your Excalibur to max rank, you can build and rank another Excalibur, but you will only get mastery points for one. Speaking of items and leveling, you should always have at least 1 or 2 weapons ready to rank up. I'm not gonna dive too deep into how you acquire affinity and level weapons and all that, but here is the basic explanation. Whenever you eliminate an enemy with a weapon or warframe, or you play in a squad, you will level up your items. What I used to do many months ago when I was leveling stuff was have one very strong and modded warframe and weapon, and then I would fill the rest of my loadout with stuff that needed leveling. As I was farming resources and clearing missions, I was also leveling those weapons. I rarely went on a mission just to rank up a weapon or warframe. This game is all about doing as much as possible at the same time. If you can combine clearing the star chart, farming resources, getting prime parts and leveling weapons while also experimenting with different warframes, you will be doing very great. This leveling stuff is all good, but how do you get new toys? Well, almost everything you do in this game is gonna give you something or someone to play with.
What do you mean by that?
Here are a couple of ways to get blueprints. First, the easiest way is to go to the market and buy blueprints. You would be surprised how many items can be bought just with credits, and in some cases, they are already built. Defeating most bosses and completing assassination missions will also give you blueprints for specific warframes, and in some cases even weapons. You can also open relics for prime sets, buy weapons from syndicates and do some other things. Getting all these blueprints is fairly easy, but there is one small tiny problem. You will run out of inventory space pretty fast. Like I said earlier, you can buy extra inventory space with platinum. But what most people do, and I totally get it, is they rank up a weapon or warframe to max rank and then sell it. I don't think this is the best thing you can do, because you never know what weapon might come handy in the future. There are some weapons that aren't strictly necessary for doing specific things, but they help a lot. Also, to build some weapons, you need weapons you have already built. There is also another reason you shouldn't sell warframes, which involves the cutest garbage disposal in the universe, but I don't want to go into that. In order to somewhat deal with this problem until you can afford inventory slots, you can build an item in the foundry and you can leave it there for as long as you need. If you do decide to sell an item, make sure that you will never need it again. If you actually sell something that is required for something else, do not worry, everything can be reacquired later in the game. It is not a big deal, but you will have to waste a couple of hours again. Do not be afraid to ask other people for help. Sometimes you will run into some scummy, completely degenerate people, but most players are willing to help out a new player, whether by sharing information, completing missions, or even giving stuff for free. If you are stuck, just ask questions in chat or join a clan. I know this is a bit of cliche advice, because in every MMORPG game, there is always a clan, guild, family, syndicate, protectorate, or some other type of player organization, and you already know this. Joining a clan has lots of benefits, but for a new player, the most interesting thing for you will be the ton of blueprints and stuff you can get from clan research. In the end, be patient, do some research, ask questions, and remember that people like you are what's keeping this game alive. Enjoy the rest of your life and let me know what do you think about this.